Welcome back to another episode of the Banker Next Door. I am your host, Dr. Joe Berquist. Today, I'm going to be talking about the BLS revision to the jobs numbers, which came out just a few days ago. Obviously, this was a incredibly earth-shattering report that came out. Basically, the largest downward revision in 15 years, one of the largest downward revisions in history, and something that I have personally been talking about for the better part of the last 6, 7, 8 months. Basically saying that the job numbers were BS, calling them into question, and saying that this is so. None of this is shocking to me. I think it will be shocking to a lot of people in the mainstream. Oh, but wait a minute, the mainstream media is not even giving this any attention. It's crazy how little attention that this report is getting, and yet at the same time, this will probably give the Fed the cover that it needs to start, reducing interest rates, because now they can't, hide the fact that the economy is being propped up anymore. So what I wanted to do here today is just we're going to look at a couple of articles in here. So this was from Bloomberg, and this is basically called, Fed confronts up to a million U.S. jobs vanishing in revision. BLS issues preliminary benchmark employment revision on Wednesday. So this was published on August 20th, the day before, Tuesday, and then economists still view job growth as healthy, albeit moderating. Now, this was Bloomberg's on a subscription, but I had somebody give this to me, so I can basically only show you the top, and I can read this little bit to you. So, Goldman Sachs Group Inc. and Wells Fargo Company economists expect the government's preliminary benchmark revisions on Wednesday to show payrolls growth in the year through March was at least 600,000 weaker than currently estimated, about 50,000 a month, while JP Morgan Chase, the company forecasters, see a decline of about 360,000. Goldman Sachs indicates it could be as large as 1 million. Now, obviously, Goldman Sachs is the winner here because the correct number came in at over 800,000. However, a downward revision to employment of more than 501,000 would be the largest in 15 years. Yes, it was, and suggests the labor market has been cooling for longer and perhaps more so than originally thought. The final numbers are due early next year. And that's the crazy thing. They had this monster revision, and they're going to have another revision in January of next year. So in about 4 months, we're going to get another revision to the low side. So that was the Bloomberg article. Now let's look at a couple. So here's Wall Street Journal. So this is the next day. This is August 21st. So U.S. job market was weaker than previously reported, data show. So employers might have added 818,000 fewer jobs in the 12 months through March, the Labor Department says. The job market from early 2023 through early this year wasn't as hot as it seemed at the time, new government data suggested Wednesday. Compared with the still official numbers, employers might have added 818,000 fewer jobs in the 12 months through March, the Labor Department said. No, there is no might here. They did. They added 818,000 jobs that did not exist. The labor. So, that means the economy could have added around 178,000 jobs a month over that period, as opposed to the current estimate of 246,000 jobs a month. So Wednesday's report marked the first step of an annual process by which the Labor Department updates older payroll figures using data from state unemployment tax records that is more comprehensive but less timely than its monthly employer survey. It is only a preliminary estimate of a revision that will be made to the official numbers in February. So again, like I said, there's going to be a worse revision coming. I anticipate that when all is said and done, we are going to be well over 1 million jobs that basically didn't exist. Let's go down here. So a surprisingly big increase in the unemployment rate last month has increased speculation that the Federal Reserve might cut interest rates by a larger than normal 0.5% at its next meeting on September 17th and 18th. Although other more reassuring data have tempered those bets, central bank officials from around the world will meet in Wyoming this week, and Fed Chairman Jeremy Powell could provide hints at the Fed's thinking in a speech on Friday. Go back. I just did an episode called, what is the Jackson Hole Economic Symposium from a couple days ago. So go, check that out if you want a little information on that. The yield on the benchmark 10-year U.S. Treasury notes settled at 3.778%, down from 3.818 on Tuesday. Yields on shorter-term treasuries fell more, a sign that traders think the Fed might have to cut rates a little more aggressively than they had previously anticipated. So we shall see on that. So now let's take a look at, again, CNBC here. Same thing, August 21st, same day as the Wall Street Journal article. Non-farm payroll growth revised down by 818,000. Labor Department says. The revision to the total payroll levels of negative 0.5% is the largest since 2009. At the sector level, the biggest downward revision came in professional and business services, where job growth was 358,000 less than initially reported. Now, why is that important? The biggest downward revision came in professional and business services. Oh, that's right. Those are the high-paying white-collar jobs. And if you've seen a couple of the episodes that I did on the prior jobs reports that came, what was one of the big things I noted in that? Your really good jobs, your high-paying six-figure plus year jobs, they are losing. We are negative. We're negative white-collar, really good six-figure income paying jobs. They're negative. All of the jobs that are being created are part-time jobs, and they're all going to foreign-born workers, meaning illegal immigrants. Okay, that's what's happening. Your white-collar, high-paying jobs are negative. They're going away, and people have taken on 2, 3, and 4 part-time jobs in order to make ends meet, and then most of those jobs are going to illegal immigrants. That's really what's happening in our economy right now. And like I've said before, the unemployment rate here, and I think it might say that in the art. Does it say here what the unemployment rate, I think, ticked up to 4.3%? Yes, right here. It says here, right here. So there have been concerns, though, that the labor market is starting to weaken, with the rise in the unemployment rate to 4.3%, representing a 0.8 percentage point gain from the 12-month low and triggering a historically accurate measure known as the SOM rule that indicates an economy in recession. So again, that 4.3%, that's what you call the U3 unemployment rate. I prefer to use what's called the U6 unemployment rate. And that unemployment rate now is sitting at 6.7%, which I think is far more reflective of the true unemployment rate and where the economy is at, and why that SOM rule came into effect and indicates that we are in fact in a recession. But again, I mean, this just gets back to a really, really big problem, and that is the trust in our government and the trust in these, like the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the trust in the U.S. Treasury, and the trust in the Federal Reserve. If we don't have, or if we cannot have trust that these organizations are going to tell us the truth and are going to put out the real economic data and the real economic information, we are heading for some horrible, horrible times. Because from a pure business perspective, forget politics for a minute. From a pure business perspective, business owners, business advisors, you have to make decisions based on this economic data. If I see that the job market looks great, everything, everything's humming along, everything's hunky dory, then hey, that's great. I might decide to maybe take a little bit more risk. I might say, you know what, I'm not going to pay down that debt that I have. Maybe I'll start to expand because the numbers look great. And so then you commit to an expansion strategy, and then guess what? You end up and then it all blows up in your face because you're like, oh my gosh, I hired too many people and I spent money over here when I could have been being more conservative and paying down my debt and making sure my monthly cash flow and everything was in a really good spot. Now you've committed to a strategy that's going to blow up in your face. Whereas if you saw the real numbers and you realized the economy was weakening, you would probably say, you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to hire any more employees right now. As a matter of fact, I might just start to pay down some of that debt that I've accumulated there a little bit, and make sure my cash flow is secure, and start to kind of batten down the hatches a little bit for what could be a rough patch or a rough period. I mean, again, and then, banks have to make decisions. I mean, thousands of banks across the country have to make decisions based on the economic data that comes out. Are interest rates going to go up? Are they going to go down? And this plays into, will interest rates go up or down? Well, what has the Federal Reserve been saying for the last 9, 10 months? Oh, well, we're not going to decrease rates. Why? Oh, well, because inflation's too high, and we don't see anything wrong with the economy. The GDP numbers are good. The employment numbers are good. The labor market is good. So where's the justification for cutting the rates? And now we sit here and we go, well, wait a minute, but that's not. We all knew this to be true because we knew it. We could see it every day with our eyes. We had the eye test. We could go out in the market every day and see and say that, you know what, things don't feel right here. The labor market doesn't feel right here. When I look at the front page of the Wall Street Journal almost every day, and I see this company's cutting 2,000 employees, this company's cutting 6,000 employees, this company's cutting 2,000. If all I'm seeing is people cutting employees, but yet you're telling me every month that, oh, the numbers are great, we're adding 260, 240, 270,000 people every month. You're sitting there going, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't compute. How can the GDP numbers be this strong? How can everything go the way it is? Well, here you have it. You have it that now you know that the Bureau of Labor Statistics has dutifully been cooking the numbers, just as the Treasury Department. If you go and watch the other video that I just did on the manipulation by the U.S. Treasury Department, and basically you have a very political game that's being played right now. You have a political game that's called prop up the economy so that people can get elected and reelected. Okay, that's the game that's being played right now, and unfortunately, this is all going to backfire at some point in a very big way, because they need the Federal Reserve to decrease the interest rates. They need the Federal Reserve to bring down the rates, which means that, and this is why we got this drop here, because the Federal Reserve was probably telling them, we do not have any ammunition to reduce the rates right now. And so boom, here you go. Here's your ammunition now to begin reducing the rates at the September meeting. So, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I sit there and I say to myself, like, do you want to have a kind of like, I told you so kind of moment? Like, no, I don't feel, I mean, none of this makes me feel good. Being right here does not make me feel good. It does not make me feel like vindicated in any way or anything like that. I just try to come on here. I think one of my promises to the audience here and everything is that I will never lie to you. You may not like what I'm telling you, but I will never lie to you. I'm not going to BS you. I'm not going to massage things to benefit something in one way, shape, or form. I'm just going to come here. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to give you the unvarnished truth as the way I see it. And I'll let the chips fall where they may. And, and I feel like, this is just bad. I mean, if you followed, again, I always come back to the Lords of Easy Money. If you followed that series, you understand my concerns about what the Fed has been doing for the last 15 years and how the Fed has put us in this box, but we've got, high inflation, we've got out of control national debt. And now we've got this manipulation of the interest rates on the part of the Treasury, manipulation of the jobs data from the BLS. And all of this is heading us into a point where, this could all end very badly. And it could end with the U.S. Losing our reserve. In other words, the dollar is the reserve currency of the world. This could end with us losing that status. That's how dire I think this situation has become. And I don't mean to be like the doomsday. I don't want to be like Dr. Doom and up here and that's not a Marvel character. There's actually a guy out there known as Dr. Doom. because he's an economist that just always predicting everything's going to crash and implode and everything like so. It's tough for me because I'm an optimistic person by nature. I'm a glass is half full kind of guy, and I want to report on positive things. And it's just tough. It's just tough to have to come out and report this, but I feel compelled that I have to, because I feel like I wouldn't be doing a good job and I wouldn't be giving people valuable information and pertinent information if I didn't report on these things. So I'm going to wrap this episode up, and I hope people will just find this informative, and I hope people will basically begin to see that hey, you know what, this economy is not what the headline numbers are projecting it to be, and we have a lot of deep flaws in this economy, and there's a lot of things that need to be fixed and need to be corrected. And in that correction, if it's corrected properly and in the right way, there's going to be some pain in that correction. It's just what would have to happen. But what it's going to require is for people to be honest and to do the right thing before this whole thing implodes. And so that's where we're at. But like I said, I'll wrap up this episode. If you like this episode, please don't go to the bar after watching this. But if you like this episode, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, we are on YouTube, Rumble, and all major podcast platforms. Please leave your comments down below. And I would tell you that kind of all the episodes I did this weekend here, the episode about the Jackson Hole Symposium, the episode I did yesterday on the Treasury manipulating the interest rates, on this episode today, they all go together. I would watch all these episodes together, get the total picture, as it were, of what's going on. So check out those episodes out, and I will be back tomorrow on Sunday. Couple of live streams. If you want to listen for the podcast audience, check out. I'll be doing a live stream on Podbean at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, and for the YouTube audience, I will be doing a live stream on YouTube at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right after being on Podbean. So, and then, like I said, we're going to do basically the whole weekly banking update, give you all the banking news for the week. We're going to talk about these episodes I just did. We're going to talk about what Jeremy Powell says on Friday at the Jackson Hole, see what his comments are. I got the Fed minutes, a whole bunch of stuff we're going to talk about, we'll get into, but please check those out on Sunday. And of course, I'll be back next week with even more episodes. So thanks a lot. I'll see everybody in soon.